Yo, what's good, y'all? We back once again with another video, and we're gonna be talking about one of the hottest teams in the NBA so far this season, and one of the most underrated teams in the NBA this season, and that team is obviously the Minnesota Timberwolves, if you read the title. But it's funny because this is like the perfect time to talk about this team, just based off the fact that Anthony Towns just dropped 60, they won. They're 10 games above 500 for the first time it feels like in forever. They're right there, almost in the playoffs, like in the playoff standings. They're right there. It's crazy to see because this team was not expected to do much. This team was at best a 9-10 seed caliber team. At worst, a team like they were last year, just another year where they were going to pick top 5 in the NBA draft. And here they are. They're 7th in the Western Conference. They got a record of 40-30. They're 1.5 games back of the Denver Nuggets to take over the 6th seed and be in the playoffs and not even have to play in the play-in game, which is a story all by itself because that was never the expectation for this team at all. But this is obviously their best season since that 2017-18 season when the Wolves made the playoffs. They were the 8th seed and they had that 47-35 record or 46-36, something like that. Jimmy Butler was leading the team, Anthony Towns was there, Wiggins was there, that sort of thing. Tom Thibodeau was the coach of the team at the time. But this team is just different, this year it's different. Anthony Towns was criticized for not really being a leader like that, and this season he's taken on a leadership role. Somewhat of a leadership role. Is he the main leader of the team vocally? No, probably not. But he's playing a part in being a leader for this team along with other key vets on the roster. And the Timberwolves are playing good basketball. And especially after the All-Star break, they're playing their best basketball of the season. Right now, the Minnesota Timberwolves got the best record in the league since the break at 9-2. The Timberwolves look to have turned a new leaf with this roster because the pieces just fit. They fit well. They play at a really fast pace. They're second in the whole league in pace. Towns, Edwards, D'Lo, they're all having good seasons. Statistically, impact-wise, they're having a good season. But I think the most important parts and the most underrated parts of this team that don't get talked about a lot are the guys like Patrick Beverley, who was traded to this team. He said on JJ Redick podcast that he wanted to be on the Timberwolves. And when you get a guy that wants to be on the team, he wants to be that leader, it's always going to go well about 99% of the time. Most of the time, it's always going to go well. He's given them that leadership. He's a good on-court leader as well. He provides them that dog mentality that they haven't had since Jimmy Butler was on the roster back in 2018, 2019. And, it's also guys like Jared Vanderbilt and Jaden McDaniels who have given them defensive stability. They can guard other teams' best players. Are they lockdown players? Are they shut-down type of guys? No. But they are young. They're versatile. They can put up their points if they need to. They're not like 20-point per game type of guys, but they'll give you some points. They'll play good defense. I like those guys. I like their young players. But it's no secret that the Timberwolves are going to put up a lot of points right now. They're second in points per game as a team this season, 8th in offensive rating. And this team, they just score in bunches. They score on the fast break. They score in transition. They score three-pointers, mid-range game. They'll finish. They can score on any level on the basketball court. And the crazy part is that they're still a very young team and they can get better in the coming years. They're one of the league's youngest teams. They were one of the league's youngest teams coming into the season at an average age of 24.9 years old. That's crazy for this team to be that good and that young. The thing is, you saw the team have some potential back when the season first started. You saw there was a different energy with this team. They started the year 3-1 through 4 games. That's something we hadn't seen from them in a while. You saw the energy. They were playing defense. They were pushing that pace like we see every game now, but they were doing that in the beginning, and you were like, wow, this team looks different. The energy is there. The leadership looks to be there. But this Timberwolves team, finally is giving you some competent basketball, something that Timberwolves fans haven't had, and it feels like forever. Especially in the Anthony Towns era. You've only had it for one season, and that was an 8 seed. This team has the chance to be a 6 seed. Now you have to wonder, will they climb over Denver to be a playoff team with their remaining schedule? It's pretty rough. even though they're playing their best basketball of the season, they still got a pretty rough schedule remaining. They did beat the Spurs, and Spurs are a playing team, or at best a playing team, especially with the way the Lakers have been playing. But it's just kind of crazy how things can change in the span of one season, because after last year and going into this season, it seemed like out of all the stars in the league, Karl-Anthony Towns was going to be the guy that was going to demand a trade. Especially if Minnesota had failed to be competitive at all this season, he was gone. Now it seems like the Timberwolves are likely going to have him for the foreseeable future, because it seems like a new culture is growing in Minnesota, and they got a new rising, they got a rising potential superstar next to him in Anthony Edwards. They got a solid point guard in D'Lo. They got that leadership. They do need to add a couple more pieces to the roster to take it up a notch. But this team, for like the first year of them being actually competitive, they're a pretty good team. They're a pretty good team, and they're fun to watch. Karl-Anthony Towns is the best shooting big of all time. I agree with him. He's the best shooting big of all time. Who do you know? Maybe if Dirk was able to shoot the volume of threes that Karl-Anthony Towns can take in a game, the attempts, if he played in this era, maybe he'd be the only big that I can name off the top of my head that can probably compete. But Karl-Anthony Towns is the best shooting big I've ever seen. He can shoot from any spot on the floor. He can shoot from the half. He can shoot from the logo. He's a special talent, and he kind of goes underrated, under the radar a lot of times, just because of the play of Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic. And that's understandable, because those two guys are MVP candidate type of guys. But Karl-Anthony Towns, remember, he was the number one pick. And he was that guy before Nikola Jokic came onto the scene. It was him. It was Porzingis for a little bit. I remember that. It was Embiid when he first came up. It was those guys. DeMarcus Cousins. Those guys were the bigs. But Karl-Anthony Towns, he's the third best big man in basketball that I can think of right now. I mean, there's no debate. I mean, Bam Adebayo is pretty nice, but he's not Karl-Anthony Towns level. It's Embiid or Jokic, 1A, whatever you want to put them, and Karl-Anthony Towns is like right there. He's right there. He's that good. And the Timberwolves, they've shown you something. It's good to see that they're showing you encouraging signs for the future, because this team was giving you nothing for like decades, it felt like. Even during the Kevin Garnett times, you knew they weren't going to win anything. And then that one year that they had where they were the 8th seed, obviously they weren't going to win anything. And even this year, I mean, they're not going to win anything this year, but at least this year is a building block for next season, whereas the other years, it didn't feel like that. Maybe the Garnett days, it felt like if you add one more piece, you are right there. But that 2018 season, it wasn't really a building block, because you knew if Jimmy Butler didn't cooperate like he had done in Chicago, like, you knew it was pretty much over. You pretty much knew. And that's exactly what happened. He left. He demanded a trade. Tom Thibodeau was over here doing Tom Thibodeau things. We're not going to talk about him anymore. But, it's finally something. They got a young coach now. They got young players on the team that can continue to push it forward. Whereas that 2018 team had vets and then the young guys. This team has majority young players. So it's about time that they shown you something, because haven't gone anything in a minute. And the Timberwolves finally are a competent NBA franchise for one season. Let's see how it goes next year. I expect them to be similar next season. If they aren't, and they're back to that, lottery, bottom of the barrel team, yeah, just forget it. Karl-Anthony Towns is gone. He's gone. But anyways, that's going to do it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Link will be down in the description below. This has been a checkup where we talk hoops and hoops only. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.